Coming at you live from Lake Carnegie. This is Rob Munn along with Ian Silvera, for those of you just tuning in, for the Harvard-Yale-Princeton lightweight race. Race time for the varsity eights. Expect to start around 10 a.m. 10 o'clock a.m. As we said before, it's looking like Harvard will be in lane 3, Yale will be in lane 2, and Princeton will be in lane 1. And the race official has just called 5 minutes to start.
Go. And they're off. All crews nice and sharp here in the first opening strokes of this race. Princeton up high and hard. Yale, once again, off to a real quick start here. I think I clock around 46, 47 strokes a minute here. Wouldn't you say so, Rob?
Yeah, probably around 46, 47. Yale's really making initiative to take the lead at the beginning of this race here.
And at this point, as the crews come level at the media launch, I'll give a 2-seat advantage to Yale. And Princeton with about half a deck to maybe a seat over Harvard. You know, there's a lot of energy being poured into these strokes here. Yale off to a hot start here. And Princeton not letting them get away too much. And as we shift down into base, Princeton is starting to get some traction on Yale.
Yeah, but as we learned in the last race, you can't really discount Harvard here. They made a huge push in the second 500 going into the third. So they're running about level with Princeton right now. They're both sitting about 4 seats down on Yale. Probably see most of the movement in this race coming in this middle 1,000.
And it sounds right now as the Harvard crew is on a push, trying to get their bow ball back up and into the race here. And right now, if I had to call it, we'd go Yale, 4-seat lead over Princeton, and Princeton about a deck, actually about 2 feet over Harvard here.
Now, you know, Ian, I think they're just running dead level.
Coming through the 500 now, Harvard's on a bit of a push. They've drawn level, maybe to a slight advantage over Princeton, and Yale still maintains that 4-seat lead. The Yale crew's looking pretty sharp there in lane 2. The meat in the middle of the sandwich on this one.
Yeah, they're looking long and they're looking strong. But Princeton and Harvard really aren't letting them get away.
And it looks as though the Harvard crew is starting to inch back. Every stroke they're taking just a little bit more off that Yale crew. And I actually think that might be the most composed looking crew on the course right now. The Yale boat's still looking a little bit solid.
Yeah, but this Harvard boat's definitely inching. Yale's about half a length ahead of Harvard, and Princeton's right on the stern deck of Yale. So I'll give it a length to Yale over Princeton, about half a length over Yale, or Yale over Harvard.
Yeah, you can hear the Coxes now as we approach the 1,000-meter mark, prepping their crews for a big push, trying to enter that last half of the race, last 1,000, and really try and close to the line here. Yale still maintaining that 4-seat advantage over Harvard, and Princeton has now dropped back about 3 to 4 seats behind Harvard. And as we come through the 1,000, you can hear Harvard on a push. It's maybe netted them about a seat and a half. The bow ball is now on the 3-man, pushing onto the 2-man.
Yeah, this Harvard boat's really starting to get some momentum on Yale. They're really starting to push. Their coxswain made a real definitive call around the 1,000, and they've erased that lead to about a seat advantage for Yale.
And on the outside, Princeton is going with Harvard. They're starting to move back into Yale, keeping their bow ball right on the 5-man of Harvard. Can't count that Princeton crew out. They're out there on the outside. We've got a battle going on between these two crews here, and they might be able to sneak up and in there.
Yeah, you can never count anybody out in a 3-boat race.
Never. Can't ever. And at this point, Harvard is putting in a lot of effort, a lot of energy into this third 500. As we've come through the 750-meter mark, 750 to go, I'd say Harvard has closed the deficit. The bow ball is now on the 2-man, moving to bow.
Yeah, it looks like that energy really paid off. They're coming in about dead even coming into the 500. Princeton's about a length down to Harvard and Yale. And if anything, I'd say Harvard just took the lead. Harvard has about a foot advantage over Yale coming to the last 500.
Harvard really put in a good push there in the third 500, and you're right, Rob. They've taken the lead, about 2 feet to Harvard over Yale. Princeton with the bow ball in between the coxswain and the stroke seat. You know, in talking to Marty Crowder the other day, he said that he really thought that this is how this race would play out. He really expected it, and you know, good speed from all the crews. But you know, he's ready to keep working as we head up to Worcester in a few weeks for the sprints. And now Harvard is really starting to raise their game, starting to up the speed. The two-man's now sitting on the bow ball of Yale, and they're pushing for the line here as we approach the last 250. You can probably look for another bump from all the crews to really try and close this one out.
Yeah, you know, that composure for Harvard really paid off in the beginning. They just let Yale and Princeton run their race. Harvard kept their heads about them.
And at this point, the Harvard three-man now on the bow ball, looking to pass it up to the four-man as Harvard looks to try and close this race out as we approach the last 100 meters.
Yeah, they're really moving nicely. They're just kind of walking away from Yale, just inching away. Princeton kind of fell off the back a little bit in the last 250.
And that'll be the margin. 3 seats to Harvard over Yale, and about 2 seats open back to Princeton off of Yale.
But again, really solid racing by all crews.